You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Don't struggle to align your organization's cybersecurity with business risk. Get the only solution that goes beyond reacting to threats with vulnerability and risk monitoring. You need the next evolution of MDR, and only Critical Start delivers it. Critical Start doesn't just monitor and respond to threats. They put you in control by detecting suspicious activities, quickly responding to contain threats, and identifying your most critical assets and protecting them against vulnerabilities and exposures. With continuous visibility, expert guidance, and measurable risk reduction, Critical Start has redefined what it means to manage cyber risk. Demonstrate provable security maturity to your leadership while positioning your program to achieve the greatest risk reduction per dollar spent. Stop fearing risk and start managing it with Critical Start. Visit criticalstart.com and request a demo today. That's criticalstart.com.
The FBI seizes breach forums, and CSC rolls out a Share and Defend initiative. The spammer becomes the scammer. Bitdefender is sounding the alarm. The city of Wichita gets a wake-up call. Esports gaming gets a level up in their security. In our Threat Vector segment, host David Moulton discusses the challenges and opportunities of AI adoption with guest Mike Spizak, the managing director of proactive security at Unit 42. And no one likes a cyber budgeting blunder. Today is May 16th, 2024. And no, you did not hit play on the wrong podcast. I'm Maria Varmazis, host of the T-Minus Space Daily podcast, sitting in for Dave Bittner today. This is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Bleeping Computer reports that the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation seized the Breach Forum's website and Telegram channel. Breach Forums is a notorious hacking forum used to leak and sell stolen data. The website now displays everybody's favorite boilerplate seizure notice, stating this website has been taken down by the FBI and DOJ with assistance from international partners. We are reviewing the site's back-end data. If you have information to report about cybercriminal activity on Breach Forums, please contact us. Now, Breach Forums was the successor of a string of hacking forums used by cybercriminals to buy, sell, and trade hacked data, tools, and services. The first of these sites was known as Raid Forums, and that initially launched in 2015 and became the largest site for distributing stolen data by ransomware and extortion groups. Bleeping Computer notes that the data stolen from a Europol investigation sharing portal was leaked on Breach Forums just last week. The UK's National Cybersecurity Centre launched its Share and Defend system, offering ISPs access to malicious domain block lists previously used for government networks. This initiative, which was announced at the Cyber UK conference, aims to enhance national cyber defenses by blocking access to harmful content, such as phishing sites. Participation is voluntary. BT and JISC are already enrolled, and Vodafone and TalkTalk are expected to join. The system seeks to raise cyber resilience without replacing individual vigilance. ESET researchers published a report on two newly uncovered backdoors, Lunar Web and Lunar Mail, used by the Russian-linked Turla APT group. They were used to compromise a European Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its diplomatic missions. Lunar Web communicates via HTTPS, while Lunar Mail uses email, with both employing steganography to hide commands. Active since 2020, these tools use advanced techniques including Trojanized software and Lua scripting. The attack methods suggest prior domain controller access, with spear phishing and misconfigured software abuse as the likely initial access points. The investigation highlights sophisticated cyber espionage targeting diplomatic entities. So, sorry, space fans, while I am the host of T-Minus Space Daily and my eyes may have lit up when I saw the headline Lunar Mail and Lunar Web, this actually has no real lunar implications. ReliaQuest describes a major social engineering campaign that's distributing the Black Basta ransomware. The campaign uses mass email spam and voice phishing, otherwise known as vishing. Attackers overwhelm users with spam emails and then impersonate IT support to persuade victims to download remote access tools like Quick Assist or AnyDesk, gaining initial access to systems. They then execute scripts to establish command and control connections, exfiltrate data, and move laterally within networks. ReliaQuest recommends blocking newly registered domains and setting up application whitelisting. Bitdefender researchers identified 4 critical vulnerabilities in ThruTech's Calais platform, exposing over 100 million IoT devices globally to potential attacks. These flaws allow attackers to gain root access, execute remote code, and obtain sensitive data. Devices affected include the Owlet Cam, WiseCam, and Roku indoor camera. Bitdefender reported the issues in October 2023, and ThruTech released fixes by April 2024. Users are urged to update their devices to prevent exploitation. ESET researchers discovered that the North Korean-linked Kimsuki APT group is deploying a new Linux backdoor named Gomir. This backdoor is structurally similar to the Windows-based GoBear malware and is used to target organizations in South Korea. Gomir has various capabilities, such as checking TCP connections, reporting machine configurations, and exfiltrating files. This malware is part of Kimsuki's broader strategy, which includes supply chain attacks using Trojanized software installers to infiltrate targets. The city of Wichita is warning residents about a recent breach that we reported on that revealed the chilling truth that no organization is immune to cyber threats. Hackers exploited a known vulnerability, breaching city networks and plundering law enforcement data, including sensitive personal information. As city officials scramble to contain the damage, services grind to a halt, with police resorting to paper records and offices reverting to cash transactions. But Wichita is just one casualty in a nationwide onslaught. St. Helena, Macon-Bibb County, and countless others have fallen prey to similar attacks, leaving governments scrambling to restore functionality and safeguard citizen data. The notice from Wichita officials didn't specify the vulnerability or the number of affected people and are still unsure when systems will be restored. Cisco and Riot Games expanded their global partnership for League of Legends esports. Cisco will now serve as the official security partner. This collaboration will integrate Cisco's security and digital experience solutions to enhance the gaming experience for players and fans. The partnership, which is ongoing since 2020, aims to improve cybersecurity, prevent outages, and ensure seamless digital experiences. No bets on if it will decrease angry in-game allegations of hacks or if noobs just need to get good. Coming up after the break, we'll share our Threat Vector segment with host David Moulton and guest Mike Spizak talking about AI. We'll be right back.
Every day, your IAM tech debt grows. Your multi-generational services struggle to work together. Building an identity fabric can fix this. It makes all your identity tooling stronger and allows you to connect any app to any service you want to use, with zero coding, zero maintenance, and zero app downtime. Strata's identity orchestration platform separates the identity logic from your applications, so you can optimize existing IAM tools and manage them in a single control plane. Now, every vendor, standard, and architecture work together. In short, building your identity fabric means you can secure your non-standard apps, keep your complex access policies, retire outdated IDPs, and modernize in record time. So build your fabric with Strata Identity and get rid of tech debt for good. Visit strata.io/cyberwire, share your identity priorities, and receive a pair of AirPods Pro. Offer valid for organizations over 5,000 employees. Connect today at strata.io/cyberwire. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business.
Our Threat Vector segment features host David Moulton, Director of Thought Leadership at Unit 42, discussing the challenges and opportunities of AI adoption with his guest, Mike Spizak.
Welcome to Threat Vector, the Palo Alto Networks podcast where we discuss pressing cybersecurity threats, ways to stay resilient, and uncover the latest industry trends. I am your host, David Moulton, Director of Thought Leadership for Unit 42. In today's episode, I'll share a conversation I had with Technical Managing Director Mike Spizak, who's responsible for proactive security solutions at Unit 42. Mike is spearheading Unit 42's effort to safeguard AI systems. In our conversation, we'll get into how organizations can harness AI to build cutting-edge tools and platforms without compromising security, and reflect on the lessons learned from the early days of cloud computing. Let's jump right into the conversation. We were going to talk about the work that you're leading here at Palo Alto Networks Unit 42 on protecting AI systems. You know, we both lived through the shift to cloud computing. And I look at that as a near-term proxy for the sort of the environment that we're in today. Do you see some key similarities between the early days of cloud adoption and the current wave of AI integration?
That's a great question and observation. What's interesting about AI and its sort of compare and contrast, an analogy, if you will, to the adoption of cloud computing, both were extremely revolutionary and in their own right, and also equally mystifying, right? Because of that, I think, you could look at it from a practical perspective, right? Cloud computing really revolutionized computing, access, data storage, making infrastructure scalable and accessible to many. Generative AI, or just AI in general, is sort of reshaping our interactions, content creation, embedding intelligence into various services, and the two are closely related because generative AI and AI in general is taking advantage of cloud computing. So they are parallel tracks, but they're leveraging each other in some ways, in many ways. Now, what's from a security perspective, I was talking about the adoption of generative AI and how, and I was speaking with chief information security officers. We were a small room, intimate setting, and we were discussing how many CISOs in the room were finding out about AI projects as they were headed out the door. And one individual spoke up and gave us a quick story and basically said, yeah, we're pushing a generative AI app out the door. Security, you're our last gate. We just need you to approve this so we can push to prod. And a couple of things I want to observe there. Number one, this was the first time the security organization was hearing about this app that had been built. Right? Number two,
so that's a problem.
So that's a problem, right? Number two, you're our last gate. Right? How often have you heard that? So security is the last gate out before they can go out the door, which not only are they hearing about it for the first time, they're the last box to check.
I was recently talking to Noelle Russell, and she talked about this idea of building AI applications, voice applications at a variety of different companies. One of the analogies Noelle came up with was this idea of adopting a baby tiger. And at first, they seem cute. They seem cuddly. You're not too worried about the fact that they have big paws, they have claws, they have fangs. You're not worried about what are you going to do with those things that are dangerous. But as those AI models grow up, their danger becomes a lot more apparent. And I think that as we see this AI enthusiasm, I'd wonder if you have thoughts on some of the potential pitfalls or dangers that organizations are overlooking as they rush to adopt AI technology.
So I love that analogy too, by the way, and I may have to borrow it. But and you smile a little when you think about, baby tigers, or,
Right. They're
and
cute.
they're cute, right? And then my goodness, when they get older, and you still see, they could still be well behaved pets, but but what's interesting about that analogy is it's the training over time, right, of an animal, right, as it grows up, and very. It's laughable, but almost quite true especially for generative AI models that will change and alter their behavior over time based on what it's been trained on and what it's been trained to
Right.
do. Some of these interesting, you asked a question around some of these threats. Now, what's a little dangerous about this is depending upon how you manifest an AI application, right? It could very much at the surface look like a web app or a mobile app or an API, just like anything else. And you may treat it just like, from a cybersecurity perspective, you may treat it just like you would any other mobile app, web app, or API type of interaction. And that wouldn't necessarily be a wrong thing to do, right? You would want to monitor it. You would want to ensure least privilege. You would want to, put a firewall in front of it. You would want to make sure there's encryption at rest and so on. So these are all great things, but leveraging AI does introduce, and in particular generative AI, which is where all of us are headed to now, it introduces just sort of this, what I'll call an expanded attack surface beyond what classic cybersecurity controls will be able to handle for us. For example, prompt injection or insecure output handling or model theft or, exposure or sensitive data oversharing or overexposure.
How do you take that enthusiasm that companies have about new AI tools, but then have them balance that with an understanding of the inherent risks and ethical considerations?
So I think it's a multi-part question. So if I had to break it down into a couple of key things, and some of them we covered already, but I'll just sort of reiterate them. The first one would be education. And when I say education, it comes in multiple flavors. I think this this idea of consumption, right? So there's education in the sense of using generative AI, what types of information is safe to put in, what types of information is not safe to put in from a consumption perspective. The other side of the education would be, workshops from a technical perspective to allow builders and engineers very similar sense of, what are we allowed to use, what libraries are safe to use, how much data, right? What are our objectives, but also understanding what are the new nuances related to software engineering that I need to be aware of that will allow me to effectively process data, right? That goes into or comes out of a generative AI system. So education, training, I think, are paramount and are almost always, after inventory and discovery, almost always the next step or one of the earlier steps. Guidelines and policies, and I mentioned this a few times about just everything from an organizational-wide acceptable use policy down to, we all had to be trained on what's confidential information, what's top secret information, what's proprietary, and so on. I think we need to have clear guidelines and policies around, the ins and outs of AI, just what I'll call classic or narrow AI, as well as generative AI. I think extending past that, when we get into ethics, there should be committees and leadership, just promoting and advocating. It's easy to say, hard to do. So without champions and leaders in your organization, and at the organization level and down even at the department level, right? Champions and leaders to effectively and transparently communicate these policies and lead by example from an ethical perspective, that, in my experience, goes a lot further than just the forced march of this is the policy,
Right.
you shall obey, right?
Yeah.
So I think that'll go a lot further, having a champion, having leadership backing at all levels, right? And that does another thing as well, not just the lead by example, but also shows that you have an organization that is committed to leaning in to the adoption of this accelerant technology, but at the same time doing it in a way that's ethical, effective for the business. And it will allow all of us to, accelerate and flourish together. So,
yep. Well put, Mike. Appreciate you coming on Threat Vector today to talk about all things AI, whether it's getting into the career in security and understanding where AI can help out, or to protect those systems that you're building, and to be thoughtful, responsible, ethical in the way that you're deploying and reducing risk as this sort of new thing goes out into the world. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and to learn from you.
I appreciate that, David. Thank you for having me. Look forward to chatting again soon.
That's it for Threat Vector this week. I want to thank the Threat Vector team. Michael Heller is our executive producer. Our content team includes Sheila Drosky, Tanya Wilkins, and Danny Milrad. I edit the show, and Elliot Peltzman mixes the audio. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, stay secure, stay vigilant. Goodbye for now.
You can find links to the latest episode of Threat Vector in our show notes. Check out your favorite podcast app to follow Threat Vector every other Thursday to get the latest in the world of cyber threats.
Are lengthy security reviews pulling attention away from your security program? With the largest network of trust centers, Vanta can help you streamline security reviews to win customer trust, save time, and close deals fast. Proactively demonstrate security by showcasing key resources like your SOC 2 or ISO 27001, and provide real-time evidence for passing controls. And when a security questionnaire is required, Vanta takes the first pass for you. Visit vanta.com/cyber to take a self-serve tour. That's vanta.com/cyber.
Nigeria's attempt to fund cybersecurity through a levy on electronic transactions was swiftly halted due to public outcry amid an economic crisis. Amidst this backdrop, the proposed cybersecurity tax aimed to fortify defenses against cyber threats, a pressing concern given Nigeria's history as a cybercrime hotspot. The rollback of the levy raises concerns about the potential surge in cyber threats. Deloitte's cybersecurity outlook warns of heightened risks, including insider-supported attacks driven by economic desperation. The forecast of increased ransomware attacks underscores the urgency of robust cybersecurity measures, especially for vulnerable sectors like government assets. What's the moral of this cyber tale? Well, proactivity pays off. As Nigeria grapples with vulnerabilities, it's a wake-up call for the cyber community on beefing up defenses. Plus, let's not forget the importance of transparency and smart spending. No one likes a cyber budgeting blunder. Say that 3 times fast. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures that we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like the show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Also, please fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your team smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And while I'm not Dave Bittner, I am Maria Varmazes. Thanks for listening.
Hey all, Rick here. At N2K CyberWire, we're dedicated to continuously improving the quality of the news and commentary on our network. That's why we're inviting you to participate in our 2024 audience survey. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback is invaluable. Plus, you'll have the chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card as a thank you for your time. Head on over to cyberwire.com/survey. That's cyberwire.com/survey to share your feedback now.
And now, a word from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Cyber attackers are using AI in creative ways to compromise users and breach organizations. In a security landscape where you must fight AI with AI, the best AI protection comes from having the best data. Zscaler has extended its zero trust architecture with powerful AI engines that are trained and tuned by 500 trillion daily signals. Learn more about Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI to prevent ransomware and AI attacks. Experience your world secured. Visit zscaler.com/zerotrustai.